Good evening, good evening. It's yet another Thursday, and welcome to our parenting slash psychological corner. I'm your host, Sia Zenani. And once again, today I am with Nwabisa Kanchofunzo, the founder of Conversations That Matter and a motivational speaker. Um, Darius is running a little bit late today. Load shedding issues. I'm hoping that he will be joining us soon. Last week, we started the conversation on sexual abuse, trauma that is induced by sexual abuse. Nwabisa relayed her story of how she was abused, sexually abused by her stepfather for years, from the time she was around 10 years old to, sorry, around 15 years old when she got courage to leave home. So today we are continuing with that conversation, and our main focus for tonight, which is what we failed to do last week because of time, our main focus tonight is for us to see how that childhood trauma affected her as an adult, as a married woman, as an adult who was now um, legally and consentingly sexually active. Um, how did that affect her? That trauma of rape. Also, maybe talk about the trauma of neglect or rejection from her mother, how that affected her as an adult, and what are the steps that she has taken for her to heal to the point that she is at now, which is to be the founder of this beautiful and impactful organization of Conversations That Matter, and to be the motivational speaker that she is. We know that it was not overnight work. It was not her just getting over it, and for her to get to the point that she is. So that's the journey that we're interested in this evening. Welcome, friend, once again to our platform. You may greet the people and then we can start the conversation.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Oh, okay. I see I'm not moving on the screen. I'm not sure what's going on there. But good evening,
Yeah, you look
everybody, and good
frozen.
evening to you as well, Sia. And thank you for the opportunity to have me again. It was a great session last week, which I am hoping that everybody out there managed to learn something from it. And I am hoping that with this part two that we're going to have today, they are going to learn even more. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see Darius has joined us on Zoom. Just give him a minute to connect to audio and allow him to greet the people. Darius, you may greet us even though we cannot see you on the other side.
Good evening, fellow, uh, you know, mental health enthusiasts. You forgive me. Today, I'm not gonna make it. You're not gonna see me. I'm in darkness, and I might leave you anytime. I think my battery life is very minimal, but hopefully, I'll be here for some considerable amount of time. And good evening, Navisa. Good evening, Sia. I'm
Good
glad
evening.
to finally made it here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We are glad that you have made it. I'm also having that challenge of darkness. It may come anytime, but we hope that it will forgive us until 8 o'clock. We try and push this conversation between now and 8. I know Nwabi as well will be having power cut at 8. So we'll try and keep to that time. So yes, let's get into the conversation. So last week you laid the the background quite extensively as to what happened, as you were a child. So as I've already said to everyone that has been listening, that tonight we want to see the impact of that, to your adult self now, to you as even before you became a mother, how did that play itself out in your life?
Okay, thank you again, Sia, and good evening to Darius. Well, it was a traumatic childhood experience. And I think what is also worth mentioning is that even though, yes, we're not going to go back to that now, the sexual abuse was not only from my stepfather. It
Yes,
then
yes, I
grew.
forgot that part. Please give us that as well. I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. Please give us that
Okay,
part as well, and then we can move, yeah, to the question that I was
okay.
asking.
Okay, I won't dwell much on it because I don't want us to spend too much time on the childhood now. I want us to get into the effects of it as an adult. But at the time that my stepfather was doing what he was doing to me, there was nowhere to run for me. When I am at home, he's the one doing this. When I am sent to the shops to the spaza shop next door, the son, oh yeah, there next door would be doing the same thing to me when I get there. The uncle at the big house, because we were renting a back room. So if I'm playing outside, my uncle's friend is also, sorry, my friend's uncle, yeah, is also doing the same thing. And then at some point when I grew older, when I was about, I think it was after I passed matric, because I was staying away from home. Now I wanted to go back home. I went to confide to a certain pastor because I wanted him to help me go back home. I wanted him to help to mend the relationship between myself and my mother. And his question was, what happened, what caused the breaking of this relationship between yourself and your mother. I explained what happened between myself and the stepfather and all of that. And his question was, how did that make you feel? What your stepfather did to you, what did that make you feel? Before I could even respond to the question, he answered it for me. Did it make you to feel worthless? Did it make you to feel less of a woman? And all I could then respond was yes, because I was like, okay, I'm given the answers. Yes, yes, yes. And at that time, I passed matric. I'm having a gap year. I'm not in tertiary because my mother was just not a part of it, taking me to tertiary. So this man started now touching me and started sleeping with me. This is a pastor
Ish.
now. Started sleeping with me. And after he has finished what he was doing, and then he says, you see, you are not worthless, you are not less of a woman because you can still satisfy a man. So now we are going to the childhood trauma, unattended childhood trauma now as an adult, going with that background of multiple sexual abuse, of a
Please,
trauma
before
of
before you continue, friend, I want to ask Darius from the psychologist's point of view. I've had a lot of rape victims. I hate using this word, but I'm gonna use it for this context. A lot of rape victims find, especially those that were abused at a young age, find themselves attracting more rape, towards themselves. I don't know how is that possible, but I think that's what I want to understand. What is it that would be happening when a person who has been raped by one person, then they find themselves being raped by another and another and another. I mean, in your case, it was your stepfather, it was the boy next door, it was an uncle, then it was the pastor. What is it, in terms of psychology, what is it that causes that? Yes, what is the cause? Darius?
excuse me.
Good evening once more. Well, I would like to say, I don't know, am I audible now?
Yeah, you are.
Yes, yes. So, one of the things I want to say before maybe we can get to this is that remember, rape or abuse believes is it can be very it can be very traumatizing, right? And of course, you and I understand that trauma is an injury, an emotional wound, okay, or emotional injury that that a person sustains. Now, obviously, when you are raped, that is done against the conscience, that is done against the will, and obviously it leaves you wounded. Okay? Now, people who are raped, in most cases, more often than not, are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Okay? People who are raped are vulnerable. So, one thing I would say is, unfortunately, of course, there's this theory that men potentially, discreet, every man, of course, if they can even be somebody who's very close to you, somebody who you can at least expect to do something. But the fact that he's a man, they can potentially do that, even if they choose not to, but potentially they can still do that. Now, here's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes people that we are around, it's not like the fact that, I'll give an example here. You may have John, that's your close friend, maybe Tim, another close friend, or maybe somebody who is in your friend circle, and maybe there could be Amon somewhere, all right, in your close circle also, could be a colleague, but just somebody you know. The fact that you are not sleeping with them does not necessarily mean they don't have such intentions over you or about you.
Okay.
All right. So here is Sia who has been raped, or who has been abused, who has been taken advantage of, and then she discloses it to them. Okay, and say, you know what? Either it could even be a weakness to say, okay, you know what? I'm not proud of this, but I'm addicted to sex. I've got hypersexual disorder. It's called hypersexual disorder. Okay, so just the mere fact that you've shared it with this man, it now makes him feel now it's an easy way. Okay, remember there's this theory that sex to men, to women, connotes love. All right, and for men, it's just for pleasure. Okay, and it also says that all that a man needs is a place to do it from. It may not even necessarily matter what that place is, just a place. A point to do it from. Okay, so now what I'm trying to say is, this we are dealing with in most cases a gender that more often than not does not attach that rarely attaches value to this subject of sex. Okay, so if you find somebody, and this happens in most cases, somebody who is who's morally bankrupt. Okay, and apart from moral bankrupt, we're also talking about the issue of is this person a safe space. And that's the reason why. Maybe let me talk about what's important for somebody who has been raped or who's been sexually abused. I think it's not just a matter of open up anyone. It's also very important to open up to somebody whom at least 3/4 of the possibility is a safe space. For a very long time, we've been talking about we've been calling on people to open up. They open up, talk, let's talk. But I think one thing that we've not prepared the society for, or the community for, is also the people they are opening up to. Okay? Because in most cases, the people that are being opened up to actually potentially, I don't know if we could move, or somebody could mute that person.
I think they're muted now.
Okay. Yes. Are you the one who's sharing that?
No.
Yeah?
No.
Mr. Olusegun?
I'm not the one who's sharing that.
Okay. I just want to ensure that last time we were okay.
Yeah. Okay, friend, you can finish up your point.
I was just trying to remove this person. Last time we were hacked.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think Mr. Obstacle, that kindly help us. We could be we could be we could be. All right, so you're safe. You can go ahead. All right. Yeah. So so the challenge, I think, in most cases, the reason why people who are raped seem to attract more rape cases is the first issue is vulnerability. They are vulnerable, and then the second one is the people they open up to. So it's not just a matter of opening up; it's about opening up to the right people. Okay, and you understand that there are some professions that are not regulated by law, correct? Or do not have some moral, ethical code. But some professions, if you report that this person treated me this way or behaved this way towards me, they would have their credentials, their licenses, and their practice revoked, or they can be banned from practice. Okay, that's the reason why I for one, I encourage. I know, of course, it's not everyone who may have easy access to therapy, to professional psychologists, but I would want to appeal. I would want to appeal to each one of us, each one of us, that when we have got issues of rape or sexual abuse, ensure that you open up to the right person. Because, and by the way, here I must be quick to tell you this: what Barrister has disclosed, it's not my first time hearing, especially I'm sorry to say, the issue where it involves the clergyman. It's not my first time hearing.
Yeah.
So let's ensure that we open up to the right people. Issues of sexual abuse, I think, for me, I would recommend we restrict them to professions which are in the mental health practice. At least we know most countries these are professions that are regulated, and at least there's some protection. You know, to say if this person takes advantage of me, I can report them. I can remind them of their ethics. I'm not so sure about pastors, but I know in our country, I don't.
Fred, I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap up your answer. It's I'm looking at the time.
Yes. So anyway, so two things. Number one, vulnerability. Then number two, the strong people that we open up to.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you so much. Okay, so it could be just vulnerability and that causes that. Okay, there is someone who is threatening me in my inbox on Zoom. Can you guys admins check what's going on? I don't know who this person is. Aaron. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if you guys know him, but please take care of that. Friends, let's go back to the impact of of this on you as an adult.
Okay. Unattended childhood trauma, the impact of it on me as an adult. And this is someone who has never seen the door of a psychologist or let alone a social worker at my young age. So all that was happening back then, I had to deal with it on my own and find ways of handling it on my own without any parental support. So I just wanted to give that background to those who were maybe not here last week. Then as an adult now, remember how I got out of that abusive environment was by running away. I left. I packed my bags and left. Then that followed me in my adult life also. Whenever there is a problem that I cannot handle, I would run. That for me is the first effect that this had on me as an adult. So whenever I can, when I got married in my marriage, I don't know how many times I've slept in a car because I cannot handle the heat. I cannot handle whatever that was going on. And when you think about it, days later, you are like, but this was a minor thing. But because it was, I felt it is too much for me, and then I would just run. So I became a runner. It's ironic that now I'm also a road runner. So whenever I feel life is too much, or whenever I'm happy or what, I get on my techies and I get on the road and run. I am a road runner. So that was what I then started implementing even in my own personal life. I was a runner. I would run from every situation because it worked for me then. It worked that I packed my bags and ran, and there was no handling the matter. There was no talking about it. There was no back and forth about it. I just ran and it disappeared. So it was a method that worked, and maybe it was because it was not attended to. Maybe there was because there was no therapy linked to it back then I saw it as the easiest way out of any situation to just run, even if there is no need for me to run. And I became a very emotional adult. I was very emotional, and you would not. It's a pity because when I was growing up, you could talk about rape, you could talk about sexual abuse, and I would not react. But as I grew older, you would not mention the word rape, or I would not listen to the news and they report of a child that has been raped and all of that, and I don't react. Even if my mood was at the highest level, I was in a very good space of mind. But the moment that there is a mention of rape or a child sexual abuse, my mood just changes. It would just affect me in an instant. I
Yeah.
guess back then, the only way of dealing with this for me was to put everything at the back of my mind so that I do not handle it, I do not deal with it. But as I
Yeah.
grew older now, things started moving from the back of my mind to the front, and they were forcing me to handle them. Yes.
I
And
I wanted to
feeling
say,
unworthy. You know,
sorry,
when this
friend.
happened back then, no, yes.
Okay, I wanted to say that I
Are
can
you talking
relate
to
to
me?
your experience. Yes, I am. Am I not audible, Nabi? Hello. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on, but
Yes,
continue.
I can hear you. It's just that you were frozen for a bit.
Oh, okay, all right. I wanted to say that I can relate to the experience of shutting things off. Not dealing with them, because at the time when it was happening, you had no um you had no way of voicing it out, or saying this is how this thing makes me feel. So it was easier for you to just switch it, or pretend as if it didn't happen, put it at the back of your mind and never deal with it. I've shared my story of how I was raped by my cousin when I was 10 for a period of a year or two, and I never told anyone about it until he brought it up when I was 18. And that's the first time that it came to my, like, to the foremind. It removed from the subconscious mind where I had shoved it and locked it. So and then once now I became aware and admitted that this thing happened, it became, now the triggers were more that, I was sexually abused, and whenever somebody spoke about it, it became a trigger that this happened to me as well. But at the time when I was keeping quiet about it and I was still a child and all that, it was forget about it, keep it there, never mention it, pretend as if it didn't happen, and life moves on beautifully. I wanted to ask on part of your
Yeah,
experience. Part of your experience last week, you mentioned how something as small or something as innocent as your lover or your partner coming to hold you from the back, how that triggered what had happened.
Yes. Now I am in a relationship consensually. I'm not being forced to be here. So I have to do what adults who are in a relationship do. And now it's only then that now I realize that I have triggers. At the time that I was growing up and I was not sexually active, all this was still locked in my subconscious mind. But the moment now I get to be in a relationship, that's when now this thing it started coming to the front. Now it started reminding me that, hey, you were sexually abused, and what this person is doing to you is how that one used to do it to you. So
Mm,
even today, to see, even though now I have went for therapy, you cannot come and hold me from the back. I
mm,
just react. It does not mean that I haven't healed. Maybe Daras will respond to that at a later stage. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't mean that I haven't healed, because I have healed and I can talk about this without crying, without even a bit of emotion and all of that, because I'm over it. But you can't hold me from the back. If you want to come to me as a partner, come to the front. Don't come to the back, because when you come to the back, you remind me of those things that were happening back then. But the difference now is that back then my reaction would be aggressive, but now
mm,
you can do that, but my reaction will be much lighter or smoother, and I will be able to address it, and I will be able to continue and engage with you because now I have healed. But back then, you would touch me from the back and it is just the end of everything. I would even pack my bags and go, because it was affecting me so much. So
mm.
those triggers are still there. Those triggers are still there, but now I can deal with them differently than how I was dealing with them back then before I went for therapy.
Therapy.
Um, okay, then to continue with the other effect on me, feeling unworthy.
Yeah.
That was my next point. Because now, remember back then, no one was fighting for me. No one stood
Mm,
up for me, especially the ones whom I expected to protect me, the ones whom I felt they are obligated, no matter what, to fight for me, but they never
mm,
did. So now, here am I as this child growing, and also as an adult. I'm like, who is going to love me? Who is going to care for me? Who is going to
mm.
appreciate me, when those who brought me onto this earth didn't see the need to protect me? My father was not
Yes.
even there in my life. They divorced with my mother when I was just a few months old, and I've never seen him again. I only saw him again only when I was 21. And that was seeing him and just passing, and then he passed on. So I never had a relationship with my father. I do not know a father's love. And even though my mother was there, she was there but absent, So that feeling of unworthiness, even now, when I am in a relationship, it would feel like the one who is in a relationship with me is doing me a favor. So as
Hey,
a result, I would do even things that I do not want to do, because I feel like
to
I'm
end
being
the
done a
love.
favor
Yeah.
for being in this
Yeah.
relationship, because I don't deserve to be loved. I don't deserve to be cared for, because those who were supposed to do that for me, they couldn't do it. And then whose child is going to love me? Whose child is going to take
Mm,
care of me? Whose mother is going to appreciate me? Whose father is going to do those things for me when my own parents could not do them for me? So
mm,
it was a big issue for me. So as a result, now even in friendships, you would find myself doing things that I don't agree with, because I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying to be loved. I'm trying to be appreciated, even though I
mm,
know this, I'm not happy in this relationship, but I'm like, I don't have a choice. I've got to maintain this because I want to feel that love, that worthiness, and
Yeah.
all of that. So
Mm.
it was a very big thing. And again,
Before you continue, I
bottling
want to
up.
read a comment from Zoom that's talking to what you're talking to now. Given their early experiences, ladies who experience sexual abuse may have learned to keep quiet
Mm,
and be unable to
mm,
set healthy boundaries. And I can attest to that. It's not just sexual abuse, but all that trauma that comes with the rejection and all that, it messes up with your boundaries. And I think that's what you were suffering from in bending yourself over, for friends, for anyone in your life, so that you feel that you've earned their love, so that you have worked
yes.
for the love that they're giving you, because you don't believe that you are naturally lovable. You don't believe that anyone in their sane state would actually love you.
Mm,
Why would they love you? And even if you do meet a person that expresses love without you doing anything, you take a step back and you ask, what's wrong with this person? why
you
why do they love
question
me? What is
it.
wrong with you? Because in your mind you are damaged, you are this rejected thing, you are unworthy, and no one should love you. So when a person shows interest in you, it's like, I know there must be something very wrong with you for you to love me. Yeah, you can continue, my friend.
Yes, especially if that person who is showing an interest on you is a man, and then the only thing that comes to mind would be like, oh, he wants to do what the others did, So it
Yeah.
becomes difficult to listen, even if someone is coming to you now genuinely and wanting to start a relationship with you, because you are always overprotective of yourself. You always see everybody as you think they see you with an eyes of a prey, they
Yeah.
are preying on you all the time. Yes. And then bottling up. Remember,
Mm,
I spoke up back then, and
mm,
I was not listened to. So now, growing as an adult now, remember I said earlier, I started running because running worked for me back then. Then
yeah.
now I started bottling up as an adult. Whenever there is something bothering me, I would bottle up and not talk because I'm scared that this didn't work for me back then. What will make it different now? Why would
Mm,
anyone listen to me now? Why would anyone trust what I am saying? Why would anyone believe me now? Because back then, no one believed in me. No one believed what I was saying. So I
mm,
started bottling up. And that bottling up now was creating more wounds on top of an unhealed wound.
mm,
I was
mm,
wounded.
mm.
The wound, a wound starts forming that hard skin, a wound
Yeah.
that is not healed, and it starts forming the hard skin. So now, on top of this wound that has not healed, now I am starting to create another wound by bottling up, because even if you are not a traumatized person as I was, but the moment a psychologist, Darius, would confirm what I'm saying, that now the moment you start bottling up and you start not talk about your emotions, what is bothering you and all of that, then that starts to affect you mentally, and
Mm,
someone would anxious, you will start be diagnosed of depression and all of that. So imagine me now having this unattended childhood trauma, never seen the door of a psychologist or a social worker back then. Now I am creating more and more psychological effect on my mind, because now I am
mm,
bottling up. I'm not talking about anything, be it is a work issue, it is a misunderstanding with a friend, be it whatever in my relationship, anything, I would bottle up and not talk to anybody because I'm not worthy to be listened to. And
mm,
who would listen to me, because no one listened to me back then.
mm,
Trust issues was another. Trust issues, especially towards men. I became overprotective of myself you know.
Mm.
I remember when I was in high school, I finished high school, you know, you would see my friends after school, they are walking with boyfriends, holding hands, and all of that. I was the only one. I never had a boyfriend in high school. I started dating when I was in tertiary, even then, on my last year of tertiary, because I was overprotective of myself. I didn't want any boy or any man coming next to me. I remember when I was still younger, and I went to a hospital in a Bishop Hospital. There's
Mm.
a unit there, a ward, they call it trauma unit. Yes. I went there once, and I was with these other children who were same age as me, who were also sexually abused. And then I was listening to their stories and how they're handling this and all of that. And I was the only odd one out, because all of
Mm.
them, how they were handling this was throwing themselves on men. You find a 16, 17-year-old with already two children, because what it did to them was that they have done this to me, so I might as well, you know. They
Do
were
it.
throwing
Yeah.
themselves on men. And at some point I felt there is something wrong with me. Why are others reacting in this way and I am not reacting in this way? Yes, I am
Mm.
totally different. Instead of me throwing myself at men, but now I am this person who doesn't want a boy next to me. I remember I was called to the staff room in high school because I clapped a boy who was proposing to me. I gave him a hot one because I was angry that he's coming to propose to me. What does he think I am? Is it written on my forehead that I'm easy prey and all of that? You know, so
Mhm.
I became overprotective on myself. Of myself, and I've already mentioned the one of trying to fit in because I'm scared of rejection. Anything
Mm.
that I do, you know, I remember when I founded Conversations That Matter. Hey, I was so scared of being rejected. How are people going
Mm.
to receive me? How are people going to receive what I'm starting? Even if I'm going to present at a work a function or whatever, because in my line of work, I present, I talk. When my kids ask, Mama, what do you do at work? I'm like, I get paid for talking. It affects me every time when I must prepare for a presentation. I would prepare it, but a night before I would not sleep. I would sweat and all of that because I am scared of how the audience is going to receive me, how the
Mm. Mm.
audience is going to listen to what I am saying. I
Mm.
was very, very scared of being rejected in anything that I do. You see, we're
Mm.
talking about a childhood trauma here, but it then affects all levels of your life. You know,
Yeah.
this being scared of rejection does not only say you are scared of being rejected by a man. No, I was scared of rejection in all aspects of my life.
Mm.
The big one, fear of failing my children. Yo,
Mm.
no, fear of failing my children because I have no pattern to cut from.
Yeah.
I have no pattern to cut from. I cannot say I am raising my children the way my mother raised me because I do not
Mm.
want to raise them the way she raised me. So now there are people when they talk, the things they teach their children, they teach them things that their parents taught them, you
Mm.
know. And whenever someone would ask, for an example, my mom is no more, my father is no more, and whenever someone would ask, what did you learn from your mother, it takes me a long time to think, what is it that she taught me, what is it that my mother
Mm.
taught me or my father taught me that I can transfer to my children. It's not there. So I had to start from a blank manual. I had
Yeah.
to start from a bank manual. You know, I don't know about you, but I know some of my friends when they have babies, especially for the first time, the parent would come and stay with you, or you would go home so that you deliver
Mm.
the baby.
Mm.
You have your parent helping you. I had to find my own way. It was
Yes.
me and my husband. We had to maneuver and find our own way of being parents. As a result, our firstborn became obese and became too big because we were competing in feeding him. You know, I would give him a 50 meals of a formula, and then he would say, "He finished your 50 meals. He will finish 75 meals on me."
But
There
you
was
know,
no.
ma'am, in all of this, friend, I want to trace the grace in your life. I mean,
Mm,
for you to come from such a background to being in such a loving and supportive marriage and like you are in right now, it can only be grace, you know. Not a lot of people recover from what you've recovered from. Not a lot of people manage to get to the point where they have healed and they're over it and they've found themselves and they're doing big things like you are doing, like founding organizations and speaking so boldly and you know, about your experience. Not a lot of people managed to do that. And as much as it looks all gloomy and all that when you look back, but I want to say that I want to praise God for you, because in all of that he did not leave you alone. And I mean, here you are now, and you've made it, and you also should be proud of yourself. Like, we should be proud of you that, man, you've done it. You did not just heal yourself, but you also managed to heal generations that are coming from you. When your children look at you, they see a blessed woman, and they are never gonna go through what you went through, because you healed. You cut off generational trauma. You healed yourself, and you healed everyone else that's coming after you. Sorry, I'm off ramping, but I just could not could not let that go. We have a lot of comments that are coming in that I would like us to go through. So I'm gonna give you the next 2 3 minutes to make your point. Okay, to recap from what you've said, how you've suffered as an adult: fear of rejection, um,
yes.
lacking
Yes.
boundaries, trying to fit in, to bend yourself, you know, wherever you are because you want to buy love,
Yeah.
fear of failing your children.
Yes.
What else did I miss?
Running, unworthiness, bottling
Yes,
up.
feeling
Eh,
unworthy and bottling up and running away from facing problems. And I want to say that there's a lot of adults that are facing these things. And some may be aware that it comes from their childhood trauma. Some may be in denial and they have gotten to a point where they say, this is me. Ndinjena mna. This is who I am. This is how I deal with things, you know. And they don't realize that this is a problem. This is a situation that is a result of some trauma in their lives. And I wish that as people are listening to you, they may be picking up things for themselves to realize that no, the way I am is not the way I'm supposed to be. There is a better way of relating to other people. There's a better way of living, but I've missed out on it because of trauma. So I pray and hope that people that are listening to you at this moment in time will take a leaf from your life and apply the lessons that you have learned in order for them to get better. Sorry, please continue.
okay. It was not an easy journey, Sia. Yes, now I'm in a very good space in my life, and it can only be by God's grace. But my marriage took a hard knock because you are with somebody who was raised by both parents in a loving home, in a loving
Mm,
environment. Now he has to deal with this broken person who doesn't know the love of a mother. And on top of that, somebody who had experienced this childhood trauma, the different ways of them, sexual abuse, rejection, all of those things. And now he doesn't know how to deal with me. I also don't know
mm,
how to deal with myself. You see, he would ask, what can I do to help? I don't know. What is it that he can do to help? He's asking the wrong person because I also
mm,
don't know how to deal with myself. So my marriage took a hard knock. It is the one thing of my life that was really, really, really affected, to a point that in 2018, I was then diagnosed with depression. The first time I was diagnosed with depression was in 2018. So I cannot say that I am a survivor, because I have the belief, in fact, yes, I believe that it's something that you manage. A depression, you manage, you live with it and manage, because it can happen that you can relapse at any time. There may be triggers, even if they are not related to the things that took you into a space of depression. So I was diagnosed with depression in 2018. So that was the turning point for me. It was a time where I was feeling so unworthy, and I saw no reason to live no more. You see, I saw my children better off without me. I saw this man better off without me, because I felt like I am a burden. I do not want these children to be raised by such a mother who cannot handle herself, So these are the effects now of unattended childhood trauma. I've never attended this in my childhood, and now it has grown with me, in me as an adult, and it is affecting my day-to-day. You see, the anger that was within me, and imagine now I am bleeding on the wrong people. You see, because the people I am on, they didn't do nothing to me. All they want is to love and care and protect me, but I am bleeding on them because I am broken within, and the pieces are not put together. They are trying to help put the pieces, but as they put a piece together, I take it apart. I was broken, Sia. I went into a state of depression, and suicidal thoughts were the only things that were ruminating in my mind. So I got admitted in 2019. I got admitted again in 2020. It's something that I live with, that I am managing. But I am not allowing it to control me. I am at a stage in my life now that I do not allow life circumstances to control me. I believe.
Frozen. Noabi? Okay, I'm not sure what's happening with my friend there. I'm just gonna go through comments quickly
Sia?
on both. Okay, now you're back. You had disappeared a moment there. Noabi?
Okay, I don't see Sia on my screen anymore. Darius, are you there? Can you hear me? Just to make sure I'm not talking alone.
I can hear you. I can see you. You are frozen, but I can see you and hear you. Okay, I'm not sure. Can you guys hear me? Can somebody confirm that I'm still audible? Okay, let's try again. Now she's completely gone. People that are watching on, okay, you can still hear me. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna try. I'm hoping that Noabi can still join back, but I'm gonna try to run through these comments as fast as I can. Unfortunately, we might not have time to answer the questions, but we'll try and go through them as well. Okay, one of the comments is from Busi on Facebook. Child abuse keeps you 10 steps backward from normal development. I agree. It takes a lot from a person to actually recover fully from that. I don't know if you actually fully recover from it, but it takes a lot from a person to even begin the healing journey from child abuse. Okay, looks like Nabi is back. And friend,
hi,
can you hear me? Awesome.
yes,
I don't know what was
yes,
happening there, but I was just going through comments for you. Okay, but you can wrap up what you were saying and then we'll go through the comments.
okay. I'm connecting with a phone now because the laptop just kicked me out. I'm not sure what happened.
Okay.
But yes, I was saying I am managing depression. But as a big believer in God, for me, I believe all that happened in my life, it was God's way of preparing me for what He has called me to do. Because now I am here, now I am talking about this, now there are people who are listening and learning from what we're talking about, and that would not have happened had I not gone through the experiences that I went through. So God allows us to go through these things in order for us to help others. You know, now we are on the other side of the river. Someone else who's still about to cross the river, we say, look, I am on the other side, you can also do it. I have crossed over, you can also cross over. So the pain that we go through, it is not in vain. Even if it is one person whose life will be saved through my life experiences, for me, that is enough. Thank you, friend.
Thank you so much, friend. As I always say, the final stage of healing is when you use what has happened to you to save another person, and you've reached that. You've reached that final stage, and as you continue in your journey, I know that God is with you, and He will keep on empowering you and strengthening you, and making sure that your healing is complete. We have very few minutes left, and we have a lot of comments to go through. Yes, may pass by. May pass before a sexual attack leaves a woman whole. Multiple violent assaults can make the trauma worse. Those who have experienced sexual assaults are far more likely to experience despair, make suicidal attempts, develop PTSD, self-injure, or utilize unhealthy coping mechanisms like eating disorders or substance misuse. Honestly, as I say, it is by God's grace that you are where you are, friend, because a lot of people have gone, the other way, the other extreme way, where others have ended up dying. Others have ended up being substance abusing substances, alcoholics, and all that and all that. So it's by God's grace that you've managed to heal and to be where you are. And I do hope that this conversation is helping someone out there. Okay, someone says, Never says, may God heal all those who have experienced this terrible ordeal. No child, no adult must be violated in this manner. And I wanted to say, I think one of the things that make you to be so vulnerable as a person who's been sexually violated is the fact that this is a power thing. When a person has sexually violated you, like this person has literally stripped you naked and disempowered you, like removed all the power from you. It gets you to a point where you feel, even if you are fully clothed, you feel naked, you feel exposed, you feel and I think this is why some victims end up being hypersexual. They get to that point of, I might as well do it willingly by myself, because a lot of people have taken this thing violently from me. So they get to that point where it's a decision that, okay, I'm going to sleep with anything that moves, because now I can do it willingly. I can do it by myself without it being taken away from me violently. So that's why some people will end up teenagers having 2, 3 children, and because they don't even think of protecting themselves or whatever, because they just want to get rid of this thing of a person that took their power. So they rather give it willingly. I think my friend is experiencing load shedding now, but we are going to go through the Zoom comments, maybe not all of them. And I'll give Darius a chance to answer 1 or 2 questions, and then we're going to close. So I'm just going to add 5 minutes to this. Sure, there's a lot of comments. I'm trying to scroll through. Okay. Early sexual assault makes women link sex with pain and trauma. As a result, they are less likely to be able to tell the difference between consent and coercion. That is very true. Very true. It gets to a point where the lines are blurred. because you can't really tell the difference between consenting and being coerced into having sex. Okay, Sandra says, great discussion. Let me add Nabi again. Okay, great discussion. I have a feeling that pedophiles and sexual predators are always searching for people who are vulnerable. And there is no one who looks more vulnerable than someone who has been sexually assaulted. That is true, Sandra. That's why I was asking the question earlier. What is it that makes people that have been sexually assaulted seems like they attract more sexual abuse, but it is that vulnerability. And sexual predators and pedophiles, it's like they sense it, they smell it, and they do it, you know. And it's like it's written on you that you are the one who is supposed to be sexually abused. And Lisa says, predators know how to find their prey, which makes victims live in constant fear and suspicion of people. Trust issues is a major consequence of abuse. That's true, because you get to a point where you don't feel safe with anyone. You feel like someone is out to get you. Everyone is out to get you. So you don't trust anyone, which in a way may work for you because it protects you. But on the other hand, it robs you of fulfilling and healthy relationships with other people because you don't trust anyone. Okay, let's check on Facebook as well. As someone who was molested as a child and raped as a teen and an adult, these things do mess you up, but healing is not impossible by God's grace. I agree with you, Busi, 100%. I have bits and pieces of your story, and I can attest that healing is not impossible. It has happened for you. It has happened for me. It has happened for Nwabi. It can happen for anyone else. It's not impossible to reach. Okay, someone says rape might be more, oh, it's Darius. Rape might be more challenging to comprehend, in part because to the culture surrounding sexual assault. Once a victim is frequently not believed again, a forced sexual conduct is perceived as a victim's fault after several occurrences, regardless of how they behave, how they dress, or how much alcohol they consumed. The simple solution is to presume that they are trying to hide regrettable sexual encounters or that they have a misunderstanding of what constitutes rape. This is true. That's why we have people today who would say, what if she's lying? You know, I mean, with the recent case of a 16-year-old child who was raped by an older man, which was doing rounds in Adventist circles on social media, there were people who were presuming that the child could be lying, you know, and that's the unfortunate part, that when a person has gone through that, they people would rather believe that you are trying to hide your shenanigans. You're trying to hide that you had sexual consent. Oh, you're trying to hide that you slept with a particular person. Therefore, you cry rape. You know, and I don't know what is it that can be done to empower people more or educate people. You know, more and more that these things happen. And even if you think I'm an adult and I've had sex before, and therefore, if I say somebody has raped me, I could be lying. I don't know what can be done to educate people to say, believe the victim first. And I'd rather you believe the victim first and be proved wrong later than you believing the perpetrator, only to find that your actions were verifying the victim even more. Self-protection is a mechanism, but becomes a stronghold where victims cannot receive the love they care they desire. That is true. That's what I was saying earlier, that when you don't trust people, it's a way of protecting yourself, but it robs you of having fulfilling relationships with other people, because it deprives you of the care and love that you want from people, because you can't trust people, so you close them out. You don't want to be close to them, but you want love and care, and it becomes an issue. this question, I'm not sure if it was coming to you, Nwabi, or to Darius. How do you gain confidence to speak publicly about your experience like the speaker? I think you can answer that.
Well, it is only through healing. You cannot
Yeah.
speak confidently about what had happened to you if you have not healed. It is only through healing. You need to go through the process of healing, go through therapy, and it is only after that that you can stand in front of an audience and talk freely and educate others about what had happened to you. So for me, I think that is the only reason, because if I had not yet healed, or during the time that I was not yet healed, I would talk about my story and I would try and block tears from coming out to a point that they just burst out. But now, after this, I will go and have a fun time with my kids, because this is not affecting me. It has no control over me no more. I have healed.
Yeah. And yeah, I wanted to say that sometimes we do speak from pain, but you can tell when a person is still speaking from a point of pain and when a person
Yes.
is speaking from a point of healing. I believe
Yes.
that when I started speaking publicly about my issues, I was still bleeding. Yet
Uh-huh.
I was courageous and brave enough, to want to talk about it. But now in retrospect, I look back and I'm like, that was pain talking, not the healed version of me that is present now. But I mean, if a person finds their voice and they start speaking, even if they speak from pain, it's okay. Let them talk.
Yes.
Let them speak,
Yes.
because also the talking assists in getting better and better. The more you talk about it, the more you release it from yourself, the better you become as a person, the more healed you become.
Exactly.
Okay, someone is asking, I think this question has been answered. Idaisha is asking, how do I communicate to my parents that I need to see a psychotherapist because it is affecting me in my adult life? I very much relate with the speaker of the psychological effects of this type of trauma. Did you answer that, Darius?
Yes, I did. I did.
Awesome.
In the
All right.
comment section.
Okay. Thank you.
You can
Uh,
just read my response for the sake of those who are following.
Okay, I will. Okay, let me look for your response. I still have a lot of comments. Okay, there. Did I share how to communicate to parents? It all depends on how comfortable it will make you to tell someone. It can be done verbally, over the phone, or in writing. Each of these methods has advantages and disadvantages, but ultimately you have to do what seems right to you. Writing a letter could be useful, for instance, if you are concerned about being interrupted or getting too many inquiries. Set some ground rules before telling someone, regardless of the method you pick. You may say, I'd like to tell you about something that's difficult for me to talk about, and it would mean a lot for me if you would just listen. Is that helpful? I hope that that is helpful to you, Daisha. And I wanted to concur with you, Darius. These things are not easy to talk about. It took me a lot of years to eventually tell my mom about what my cousin did to me. Other family members got to know about it, but my mom never got to know about it. And when I decided to tell her, I said, listen, I know you're going to ask me why I didn't tell you. I know you're going to maybe be disappointed or be angry at me that I kept quiet when it was happening and I kept quiet even after. But right now, I just need you to hear me out. I need you to just listen to me. I don't want you to do anything about it. I've dealt with it. I'm okay. I just want you to hear me out so that you understand the dynamics of my relationship with this person. So that even if you see that we don't get along or whatever next time, or I happen to say something publicly, you know what happened. So it helps to set those ground rules to say, what is the objective of your sharing and how do you want them to assist you? Assist me by keeping quiet, give me time to finish telling you my story. And if you are ready for the questions, you can say, I'll answer your questions after. If you're not ready for questions, you can tell them, I don't want any questions at the moment. I just want to share. Those are the ground rules. Yeah. Okay. And this question, I think it's to you, Nwabi. How are you able to be married when you have childhood trauma?
Well, having gone through all that I went through does not mean that I cannot be loved and I cannot enjoy life. So I cannot allow what had happened to me to control my life and control my life decisions. I need to live a normal life. You know, a man came to me and asked for my hand in marriage, and I allowed him because I wanted to live a normal life. Yes, it was not easy at first. It was very, very difficult. As I said earlier, that my marriage is the one thing in my life that took the hardest knock out of all of this. But because I was with somebody who was willing to hold my hand and who even went for therapy himself in order to understand how to handle me. So now we are dealing with everything together as a couple because he's there 100%. You know, so it is possible that you can be in a healthy, loving relationship, even though you had gone through the things that you went through. Thank you, friend.
Thank you. Okay, we lost you a bit there, but I got the gist of what you were saying. Okay, let me just, this is the last comment we're gonna go through. If I missed any comment, please don't take it personal. I am sorry. I tried to go through them as fast as I could. I'm sorry if I happened to skip your comment at any point. Please don't be angry at me. Okay, Busise Sisnabi, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing yourself with us. May God bless your ministry, and thank you, Sia, for these conversations. You are welcome, sis. And yes, Busi, when you are ready, you'll be one of our guests in this platform. We would like to hear your story. And thank you guys once again for joining us. Thank you for the contributions, for the comments, for the questions. We appreciate having you in this platform. Otherwise, if you were not there, we would not be doing this because we would not be doing it for anyone. So thank you that you're always there supporting us, listening, asking questions, commenting. We appreciate it. And as I always say, there is no topic that is out of bounds in this platform. Please do slide into my DMs or WhatsApp me any topic that you feel we should talk about. My page has my WhatsApp number. Drop me a message, drop me a voice note, go to the inbox and suggest any topic that you feel like you want us to talk about. Obviously, Enobi's story is a lifetime story, so we can never exhaust it. We tried by all means in these 2 sessions to cover what was relatable to childhood trauma, affecting you as an adult and all that. And I'm looking forward to her book. I hope she's finishing. I'm looking forward to her book because I believe that her story is a story that needs to be shared. And in this series of childhood trauma, I think this is the last episode that we're having. We started, with the first week when we spoke about trauma, and PTSD. We moved on to talk about trauma bonds. We moved last week to talk about childhood trauma affecting you as an adult, and that's what we're finishing today. So for the past 4 weeks, we've been focusing on trauma, and I think we've done our best to exhaust it. Obviously, it's not a topic that can be completely exhausted, that can be done, but we've tried. So next week, we'll move on to a new topic. Thank you so much for your presence. We are going to end the live session now.
Thank you. I'm in the dark here.